G'day and good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. This is the initial reactions to the game that just finished between Sporting and Arsenal in the very first leg of the Champions League quarter final. And happy to say, finally, a happy morning for me as we do finish the game 1-0 with an extremely late goal from Kai Havertz in the 91st minute. And we're able to take the lead going back to home in the second leg, where we've only lost one match all season. So things are looking good for our Champions League campaign. Can't really say too much about the other two campaigns that we just dropped out, but it's good. It's good to be back in winning ways, and it's really, it was always going to be a tough game against Sporting, who come into this match. I believe they've won. They've only dropped one game at home, like us, all season, and they come into this match. I believe the stat was like 14 games unbeaten at home. It's always going to be a tough match, but the game started off. Actually, the game throughout was quite a slow game. Both teams were very pragmatic in their approach to how they wanted to play. I guess more so us. I guess it is more understandable that we are the away team, first leg. The odds are sort of against us in that sense. So we were comfortable with just maintaining possession, not playing too many balls in, to risk giving up possession in our half. Just making sure that we connect the dots and play through the back in a pretty slow, steady way. And it reflected in us not really creating too many aggressive chances. The best chance of the match in the first half came from a set piece, a corner from Madueke, who, by the way, played pretty well actually. But his corner curls in, hits the crossbar, falls to Odegaard at the edge of the box, and he sprays the shot wide. But earlier on, Sporting, they didn't have a lot of possession, but when they did, they looked actually quite dangerous. The very first shot of the match was a brilliant Trivela pass from Diomande, the centre half, finding Araujo, who was the attacking fullback on the left, and was able to get a shot off, and due to a brilliant save from Raya, clatters against the crossbar, and thankfully that was the end of that. Raya, by the way, brilliant performance. Really good to have him back after watching Kepa and our poor performances against City in the Carabao Cup and Southampton in the FA Cup. You could definitely see the difference in class between Raya and Kepa. Not just of the saves that Raya pulled off, but also just how much more settled our defense was. So yeah, really pleased to see him back, and definitely hasn't missed a beat. He pulled us out of some really hairy situations in late in the second half, where Sporting were trying to make a late surge for a victory, including a double save from Raya, a shot coming in low on a pretty slippery pitch as it was raining. Initially, Raya was able to save that shot, but it spills out to an oncoming Suarez, and was able to, from the ground, reach up and save the second shot, and allow us to survive that scary moment. It was late in the second half, about maybe the 88th minute or so. So definitely pulled us out from that situation. But look, slow game, not the most entertaining sort of football from both sides. I think both sides did well to neutralize each other. The best chances definitely came from the over-the-top balls, especially from Sporting. A couple of those as well as we tried to play in Madueke and Gyökeres. Madueke had the better of Araujo, who was the fullback, drew multiple fouls, won a lot of dribbles. And this is, I do have the Super Score stats here. I wonder if there's a dribble stat, but yeah, Madueke had a really good performance. Unfortunately, no finish to reflect it, but he was very dangerous. He was most definitely our most dangerous player on the pitch in the attacking sense, beating out Araujo, drawing multiple fouls. I'm not sure how Araujo evaded so many yellow card opportunities from the ref. Even when Max Dahman came on and Max Dahman got fouled a couple of times more, he was still able to escape a yellow card somehow. And I guess the ref was very lenient all game. He only handed out one yellow card, and that was to Morita early in the first half. So yeah, look, not too much action from the refs, but hey, it's whatever. Yeah. In terms of, I guess, yeah, Rice, good to see him back. He was phenomenal yet again. Was asked to do a bit more defensive work this game, and didn't really have those lung busting forward runs that we like to see from Rice, but defensively was world class. The amount of interceptions, tackles that he put in, and at times was asked to play as the left back when Calafiori went forward and received balls in the box, and Rice had to drop back and cover that gap and play the left back role at certain times, and did that phenomenally as well. So yeah, Rice, what a workhorse performance from him. A quiet one from Gyökeres, couldn't really get involved, didn't really get played behind the lines often, and that is a criticism of, I guess, the game plan. We definitely didn't look to play him in behind the defense. Odegaard was very happy to just play the ball back, and play one twos with Zubimendi and Rice, and recycling it back to Saliba and Gabriel and all that. Yeah, look, Odegaard was okay. I would have liked to see a bit more creativity, a bit more bravery. You saw that difference when Dauman came on. Obviously, Dauman didn't play as the cam, but you can see his intent to always attack, and that's something that's Odegaard is missing. That initial thought of to attack the defense with his balls and his dribbles. There were times where he tried to do that, but I would have liked to see a bit more urgency. But I think it was more of a game plan thing. I know Odegaard can do that, and he showed a bit of that against the Southampton game. So maybe when we go back home, we'll see a bit more of that. But the subs were very impactful coming on, especially Martinelli and Havertz. More on them later on, but they combined for the late minute goal. And I'll pull up the Sofa Score stats here, as you can see here. David Raya, man of the match with an 8.7, well deserved. He was brilliant with those huge saves coming out from the Spaniard. Saliba 7.5, and Kai Havertz 7.4. Obviously, Kai Havertz coming in, getting the goal there. Yeah, Saliba was. It was world class as well. Definitely holding up our defense very well. Ben White, a much better performance this time around. Did get caught in defense a couple of times, especially that early chance from Araujo where Diomande played him in at the start of the match. But other than that, defensively, White was actually pretty good. Was able to deal with multiple crosses from his side, deflecting it for corners and making some key tackles and maintaining possession. Didn't commit that many fouls this time round as opposed to the Southampton game, so I think those minutes under his legs definitely warmed him up into this game. But yeah, look, great results. An average performance, but we got the job done in the end. I think that's all that matters really, and we get to go home with a goal lead, and more importantly, actually going into the Premier League game against Bournemouth on the Saturday with some momentum. I was always afraid that if we do get out of this match with a loss, or or maybe a draw, but with a pretty poor performance, we go into that match against Bournemouth, lacking confidence, lacking form, but obviously we're able to finally go into that match with a bit of confidence. Look, that was good stuff from the boys. I guess more words on the other performances of the game. Gabriel wasn't too impactful, but combined with Saliba, pretty solid in defense. Calafiori, not too bad. Had a couple of good defensive tackles, but wasn't found himself in the opposing box quite often, actually, late in the second half. Couldn't really amount to anything, unfortunately, but always good to see him play that sort of role. Trossard started in place of Martinelli this time, and I guess didn't really get involved too much in the game. When you compare him to Madueke, who was constantly trying to make stuff happen, successfully dribbling around his player. Let's see if there's a statistics page here. So yeah, XG in the favor of Sporting, probably from the late shots on target, where drawing the double save from Raya. I'm surprised it was only 0.84, but I guess it just shows that we were able to nullify most of Sporting's attacks. 0.78 for us. I think that closely reflects to how the game was played. 2 big chances to 1, 11 shots to 7. You can see 5 saves from the keeper, from Raya. Overall, pretty even throughout. Let's see, shots on target 5 to 4. So the quality of shots for both sides were, I guess, pretty even, statistics wise. Passes, we had a lot more passes, but most of those passes were not threatening at all. I think that's something that we definitely need to work on. We have a lot of possession for most of the game. Let's see how much percent. 56% of the possession, but a lot of that was just passing back and forth. I would really like to see some more passes that takes the game on. Don't be afraid to slip in those passes in between the midfield lines, and play more through balls to Gyökeres, who was definitely begging to get played in. So yeah, that's my initial reactions. Obviously, a great result, and hopefully it's more signs to come as we return to the Premier League, and hopefully end our title run on a high. Come on, you Gunners.